Good morning. Welcome to the beginning of the Physiology of Yoga series. We're going to start with some basic concepts to let you become more familiar with your body and how energy moves through it. So, with no further ado, I'm going to have Ross stand up. We're going to go over some basic body parts. The first thing I want to do you mind if I pull your shorts up a little bit just to show the musculature of the body? Because we're going to talk about, in Anusara Yoga, we talk about loops. They're basically kind of a way to describe how energy travels through the body from the root to the crown of the head. And we're also going to focus on the knee joint and the ankle joint. And what's in between that is the shin. And then above that, we move to the hip joint. But if we look at the joints that lie between the center of the body in balance anyway, and movement is the hip. So we have, can you root? So relax again, sink into your feet, just be heavy, like relax, and don't root anymore. We see there's specific muscles that are still activated as we're standing. But if we root, go ahead and root, yeah. Then we see the ankle come into line. So the first thing that happens here is that we have a passage of energy that comes up the foot, across the back of the calf, down the front of the shin. As it comes into the quad, it moves forward above the knee, comes into the hip, and rotates here. And then I want you to go ahead and relax. And then root again and see if you can allow that energy to move here, and then here, and then here up the front of the quad. And if you can feel that sensation of how it goes. So these loops that I'm talking about are more in sense kind of a three-dimensional model of tensegrity, but we're describing them in kind of a single plane at the moment. So can you move back into kind of a half squat for me? And you can see what activates in the body. And then if you could come up really slowly, stand up slowly. Where is that pressure moving down through that shin, right? Up through the back of the calf. And as we move into the quad, that lifts us up this way. Mm-hmm. That's that energy and the pathway of movement in the body. Go ahead and turn this way for me. And I'm going to go ahead and have you slowly squat again. And just like you would normally do, not like any traumatic thing. And I want you to see the alignment of where your kneecap is over your second toe, which it isn't, right? Mm-hmm. So what do we have to do in the body to bring those knees into alignment over the feet and to keep this energy pushing through this part of the foot, up through the back of the calf, down through the shin, up through the quad? So what can we maybe press out here in the calf? Yeah, you feel that movement? Mm-hmm. How that shin drives down into the ankle and supports the ankle. And exactly that movement is what brought that knee into alignment over that. So that energy of the movement. Go ahead and come up. There's a lot of parts. The knee is always a fun joint to start with because there's so much to learn about it. It has so many ligaments. You've most likely heard of ACL and MCL injuries in the knee. The MCL, there's muscles that come down from the pubic bone, and they really thin, tiny ones. About here, they turn into a big fat ligament and join up with a ligament behind it, which is the medial crucial ligament. Crucial meaning it's really crucial to the knee joint. Just kidding. But that's a good way to think about it. Also, the lateral, show on this one. So the lateral ligament, the lateral crucial ligament comes on the outside of the knee and follows it joins up a lot of connective tissue with the IT band. But it lays right between the femur and the tibia, the head. It stretches out across that knee joint perfectly to keep it from moving inward, to keep it from moving outward. So the medial keeps the knee from moving this way, which, you know, I'm sure you've all seen violent videos that show that happening, and it keeps the kneecap from moving this way without taking the leg with it. So when these get weak, when we have a lot of lateral and medial movement in the knee, a lot of that is, can you just stand up and be really heavy and let your legs hyperextend, do whatever they do? And a lot of people fall into their, can you let your ankles sink? Probably not, because he's been doing yoga for a couple weeks. Just a lot of times people they fall in like this, if you can see that lateral, that medial movement on the knee. And people that walk with their heels out, there's a lot of pressure on the lateral side. And so the nice thing about yoga is this is a gentle movement most of the time. If we are habitually practicing these movements and things out of alignment, then what we're doing is strengthening. Go back into your squat. Just drop down into your squat where your feet are now and let your knees go where they go. If we're constantly practicing misalignment, then right here, this lateral crucial ligament is really tight, and this one, the medial, is getting extended way too far on the medial side. So what we want to do, this is the same thing when you do any other type of workout. If you do a squat in any workout, if you do lunges, if you do, if you're doing front squats, back squats, anything, especially if you have added weight or resistance to this movement, then you are strengthening your weaknesses. So today we're just going to go over a couple really short exercises to strengthen that relationship between the foot and the crown. And we're going to start with the loops of the ankle, the shin, and the quad. Obviously, squatting is going to be one of them. We're going to do more than squat. We're actually going to do Uttanasana, which is chair pose. So if I could have you turn that way for a moment. And when our bodies are always fighting to be in balance. All of these things work together to find balance in each of those systems. When one system is really off, all of the other systems are affected. So we're going to use the nervous system today to try to strengthen the connection between the systems alone. So to do that, I want you to go ahead and start to come down into a squat. And then where do you feel like you are starting to become unbalanced?
Ankles.
Okay. So come back up. As you come down in the squat, feel where it feels. So he was, as he came down in the squat, do it again, his ankle was starting to fall out and it felt a lot of tension. So to get out of that, we want to leave room for that energy to move up the top of the foot. So we're going to press to the 4 points of the feet, press those in, and that will immediately start this energy going this way. Also, we want to have this energy moving up the back of the leg and down the front of the shin. So if we drive that energy down through pressing through the feet and pressing on the outside of this calf outward. So another good way, come back up, to practice this is to take a blanket. Can you turn to this camera? Put it between your knees. You can also use a block, but I'm not thinking a lot of people have blocks at home. If you have a block, you can use the different widths of the block to try this. Squeeze that blanket and hold it in place. Now drop into your squat. Squeeze it. Where does your hips go when that happens? Squeeze harder at your knees. Okay, release.
Back a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. So we start to move back to find that counter action. Face the front of the mat again. I'm going to make this a little bulkier for you. Okay, go ahead and squeeze. Whoops. Okay. So he's kind of got knock-kneed right now, which is not superbly healthy, but we are going to drop down and see where that energy is driving. Squeeze. Okay, come back up. Where did you feel that pressure in your knees?
Here.
Yeah. So right where our lateral aspect of the knee, we have the IT band that comes down and attaches to the tibial tuberosity. We also have that lateral crucial ligament that comes across that joint and hooks to the outside of both the femur and the kind of almost anterior surface of the tibia. And then if we are squeezing something in between our legs, so if we put our legs together and we squeeze them in, our knees will knock. To counterbalance that, we activate our hips. Our body wants to find that balance. So if we're here and we're squeezing in and our body says, oh, that's not good, it's going to take that energy and drive the quads back into the hamstrings. So go ahead and drop down again. This time, driving that energy root through your foot without straightening your muscles, and you're going to feel this rise out to the outside, right? Mm-hmm. Really nice. And then we're also going to find, now that our knees are starting to pull into the middle, now if we send our sit bones back and we drive this top of the quad energy backwards, straight back, where do your knees go? Ooh, way more comfy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More
so now the body,
sure.
This happens in an instant in the body. But if we kind of break it down, you can understand why we work these particular poses in a particular way to find alignment. It's because I can see that this energy is now driving in the right pattern, that his joints are in the right place. Go ahead and stand up. Can you face this camera? I'm going to have him do this one more time so you can see. Go ahead and squeeze. You see this. And to counteract that, he's already turned his foot to make this somewhat comfortable, right, to match his knee. Body wants that. Go ahead and squat and tell me, how is it easy to drive that energy? Do you feel less balanced? Because you can't really throw that energy back.
Yeah.
You can't throw that energy back because it stopped here and it can't circle down the shin and come back up the quads.
A bunch of pressure around
here.
here.
Yeah. We have the quads and all four tendons come down and surround the patella, the kneecap. They attach to the large surface, this rough spot on the front of the tibia. And then the IT band, which is connectively attached with tissue to the quadricep, the lateral quadriceps. And then it has another, we have the gracilis and sartorius that come down on the inside of the knee. Go ahead and move your knees forward a little bit, bend a little bit. Now activate your quads. So we get the stabilization in the front side of the knee where the kneecap is now not able to move as much. It's definitely going to be able to move up and down like it's supposed to, but it's not going to be able to move side to side. So this is one way to start strengthening those tendons and ligaments without doing any bending, weightlifting, resistance, weight bearing, any of that kind of stuff. You can just gently bend your knees forward and push through those, root through those feet and activate all of those ligaments and tendons. Can you feel all that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So how does it feel in the back of the knee right now?
Fine. Okay. Feels good.
Yeah. Turn around for me. Hyperextend your knees for me. This is a standard position right now for a lot of people. Can you show me where it feels the most discomfort?
And right in the front bottom of my kneecap. Yeah.
Bottom of your kneecap.
Yeah.
Okay. So from the back side of the knee, we have the three hamstrings that come down in two pieces that attach to the back side of the tibia. And inside of here, we have a lot of stuff going on. But one of the main things that you're probably familiar with, you've heard the term, maybe you don't know how it lays, but we have what's called the anterior and the posterior crucial ligaments. The posterior crucial ligament, which we don't hear about a whole lot, is because it doesn't really have the opportunity to get injured like the ACL. It lies almost on the sagittal plane on the back surface of the knee, whereas the ACL attaches to the lateral aspect of the femur and moves forward just behind the kneecap to the surface of the tibia.
because it crosses a few planes in the knee joint, it is easily injured when the knee moves out of its normal rotation and movement.
So a lot of times when we end up pushing our knees into different directions, that pressure is not comfortable. Go ahead and hyperextend again. That posterior has a little bit more flexibility to allow extension in the knee like this because of the surfaces that they're attached to. The ACL, however, does not. It lays in front, it's hooked to the middle of the femur and the middle of the tibia. It's got this massive strength in that ligament. And when we over hyperextend this knee, we are actively breaking that ligament down. Go ahead and soften your knees now. Plus, go ahead and hyperextend one more time. And then try to root. Can you press through your feet and get a rise in your spine right now?
Not really through the front of my feet, the front points.
You don't feel that energy
like the
traveling.
heel is easy enough to root, but
yeah, but you can't feel that energy passing up this way and up through here. Okay, there's a reason why. Because our body is out of alignment. So go ahead and soften the knees. But still stand up straight. Just let your knees be soft and not. Now root. Press through all 4 points of your feet and let that energy pass through. A lot of times especially when you're first starting yoga or you're starting a new exercise, we get always tense. We're always tense because it's new. And anything new causes tension. Because our brain, our nervous system, and our stress levels, our endocrine system, all easily affected by these things, make us tense, make our muscles not be flexible. So during this series, we're going to do these tiny little exercises to see if you can soften those muscles and start to feel that energy the way it's supposed to flow. Can you turn to the front of your mat again? So as that energy comes up, loops around, comes up to the hip, drives the energy back down through this knee. With each circle of each of these loops, we are driving energy. And if we can keep the energy in this loop flowing, that will increase our ability to keep the energy moving through this loop. And then we're going to be able to continue the loop here. And as this moves up the body, if we can allow the space for that energy to move, we are going to strengthen every tiny little ligament and tendon in the body that supports a joint. And we will be able to protect ourselves from injury, from age. Age is going to happen, but we can keep these things healthier during that process. So can you, just like you are, this is nice and soft on your knee, root through your feet and allow yourself to feel that movement, even though you're not in a squat. Can you feel where the energy is stopping?
I'm trying to. But
this is hard.
It's a
new concept, which also makes us tense. It's pretty fun. So to get you out of that,
kind of like here in my hip, it stops.
Yeah,
I can sense it.
So now this time, when you root through that, you don't have to have quite the bend in the knee. Go ahead and root, and when you get here, see if you can move this hip out of the way by sending the sit bones back and out. That would be inner spiral. And does that allow the energy to continue to flow? I just saw it move up your spine.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So all of the things that I am teaching in these little classes in the Cut Team series and in this series about the physiology of movement and the physiology of yoga, all the things I'm teaching you are things that I have seen change the way people let energy move through their body. So that's the key of this series. So your exercise today is simply this. Can you turn this way? Close your eyes. Put your hands in front of your heart. Have your feet parallel, no farther than shoulder width apart. Let there be a soft, hyperextend your knees first. Feel that sensation where you feel like you're standing tall, but you feel all that tension and pain and pulling. Soften the knees. Bring the knees forward a little bit. Now root through your feet And just try to let that energy move. And when it feels like it's stuck, remember the loops. Go, I want this energy to move this way. How do I create the energy to move this way? I push my weight into the ball of my toe. Yeah. You feel that continue moving forward? That allows the back lateral side of the calf, the gastrocnemius and the soleus to move out to the side. That allows that energy to continue down that shin, which drives the spiral in the ankle, by the way. And then back up around, follows up that quad. And then we send our sit bones back and out on that inner spiral to allow that movement to come all the way up to the hip. We're just focusing on this. So go ahead and now, once you kind of do that, after a few breaths, go ahead and come into a squat or move towards Uttanasana. And look, if you guys can do this in a mirror, look for the middle of the knee to line up with the second toe. What do you have to do to make that happen? Do exactly what you did when your legs were straight. Drive that energy into the ball of the big toe. Allow that lateral calf to come out, right? Now send your sit bones back and out. And that knee comes right out over that second toe. Also, if your knees start to come out over the toe past here, you need to sit back farther, right? To bring your knees back. To do that, we usually send our arms forward to find that equilibrium and balance. Ta-da! And that flow, Ross had that just go all the way up past his shoulders, which is really magical when we can feel that. When you get your body into alignment like this, we still have more to work up on the other body, but when you can feel that, it's kind of like angels singing in all the places that are in place. This is amazing. It's like, whoa, yeah, so you'll know. So today, just a few practices. Go ahead and come up. That's it. Stand, hands to your heart, close your eyes. Balance those feet on the 4 points and especially drive that big toe ball into the foot to allow that lateral calf to come out again. And you're going to feel that knee come over that second toe, but you're going to might feel stuck here. So if you do, that's going to be an inner spiral that sends your back sit bones back and out. And then you can drop down into Uttanasana and think of it as a system. Think of squatting. And now what do I do to drive my energy here to allow that to flow? Now my knee is here, but how do I make sure that I don't fall over as I squat deeper? I reach forward and send my sit bones back. Yay! Okay. See you guys tomorrow.